Welcome again to Intentionalist Season 2. This season is a season to talk about rebuilding, how a woman rebuilds back her power. How do you reconquer your territories as a woman? My name is Coach Alice Muhirwa. I'm your host. I'm an executive coach. I really hope you have watched season 1 or you have watched other episodes on this season 2. If not, consider doing so. These are empowering and inspirational stories from corporate and business in women who are professionals who are going to be helping you, sharing tips and their personal journeys so that you can be able to be inspired, empowered to live your life with more intention to do better. Today's guest, we are going to talk about building trust and love after betrayal. She has been on this season 1 again, where we were talking blooming beyond betrayal. She's a specialist who deal with the people who have lived with betrayal. She has programs that she offers to help people who have experienced betrayal, both in business and also in personal lives. Welcome to Intentionalist again, Coach Ingrid.
Thank you so much, Coach Alice. So happy to be here again.
Yeah, happy to have you again. We have really enjoyed our first episode. For those who are just coming here for the very first time, would you like to introduce yourself, tell them what you do, and why did you choose to work on betrayal?
Thank you so much, Coach Alice. So my name is Ingrid Kruiter. I am the founder of Open Heart Coaching. I work as a life coach. I was certified as a life coach back in 2017. That's going 8 years already.
Yes.
And so I've been working as a coach. I also do facilitation for corporates, facilitations of meetings and workshops. And 2 years ago, because you asked me how did I get into this, I don't think anybody becomes a post-betrayal transformation coach because they think the topic of betrayal is just so interesting. Most of us get into these journeys out of personal experience, right? So 2 years ago, I experienced quite a heavy betrayal. And the moment I started talking about that, I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, "Oh, Ingrid, thank you so much for speaking about this," because I thought I was the only one. I thought I was crazy. I thought, nobody understands me, and thank you so much. So already being a coach, I was like, I could probably support people on this journey, and support myself.
Yes.
And I went to do 2 additional certifications. So I'm now also a post-betrayal transformation coach and a trauma recovery coach. So betrayal trauma, but also other types of trauma. And with those certifications, I also felt like now I'm like really more equipped to support people on these very complicated, complex, and heavy journeys of betrayal and how to heal from it. And then I'm also a breathwork coach, so I can use breathwork in the healing journey. So I wear a lot of different hats.
Yes.
I know today we're going to specifically zoom in on betrayal trauma, but of course, if anybody has a question about any other topic, then they can also reach out to me.
Yes, thank you so much, Ingrid. We are so honored to have you again. Basing on the feedbacks that we got on our previous episode on blooming beyond betrayal, I noticed that most followers or respondents or commenters were only focusing on the betrayal, the love betrayal.
Yeah.
Would you like to identify other types of betrayal that are somehow overlooked?
Yeah. Very often when we speak of betrayal, we think of infidelity, cheating in relationships, marriages, things like that, which is probably also the majority of people that I've worked with, but it's not the only people that I have worked with. And I've worked with people who have experienced betrayal in business.
Yes.
Maybe your business partner or your finance person that you trusted, that you hung out with, maybe even friends.
Yes.
Maybe you go way back and all of a sudden it turns out they did a deal or they stole, or maybe they went off with your idea or with your client. So that's betrayal as well, right? In the workplace, betrayal can happen. In friendships, we might sometimes feel betrayed.
Yes.
In families,
Yes.
there is actually a very specific type of trauma, non-parent expect trauma, which is also kind of a betrayal where you only find out much later in life that the person that you thought was your father or your mother is not your father or your mother. And so that comes with its own feeling of betrayal. So there is a lot of different types.
Yeah.
And different betrayals hit us differently. So I might have experienced a betrayal in the workplace or in a friendship that, of course, I didn't like it. I was disappointed. I was maybe hurt. But I moved on from it. And then maybe I experienced a betrayal in relationship that was much heavier for me. For somebody else, it might be the other way around. Maybe there was a betrayal in relationship and you kind of brushed it off and it wasn't such a big deal for you. But what happened in the workplace was your big betrayal.
Yeah.
So it's different for everybody, like how we internalize it, depending on a lot of different factors. But all of them have betrayals and all of them can get us stuck or have these effects that they have on us. So it's very, very valid. It's not just in relationships. It's not just in marriages. You can feel similarly about different betrayals. Yeah.
Speaking of the effect, how can somebody who has experienced several betrayals, be it family related, social related, or work related or business related betrayal, what are the common signs that woman who's watching us and they are feeling like they are wounded? How would you know that this is something probably that is coming to me because of betrayal, this particular one? Yeah.
Actually, they even say repeat betrayals.
Yes.
If you experience betrayal over and over again, not even in the same relationship, but in the next relationship, in business, in friendships, it's often a sign, not always, but often a sign of an even earlier betrayal that you haven't worked on yet. So an unhealed earlier betrayal, maybe from childhood or from your early teenage years. Yes. Again, it's not 100%, but it's often a sign. So it might be good for you to even look back and say, when did I kind of first feel betrayed, or when was I first betrayed, and heal that wound. Effects that we often see in people. Actually, they're so common that the term post-betrayal symptoms was coined, because it's so many people experience similar symptoms. They can be physical, headaches, migraines, loss of appetite, or digestive issues, maybe weight gain or weight loss, even insomnia, or just generally like problems getting to sleep. We learn more and more also generally about what stress does to our bodies.
Yes.
And of course, betrayal is a huge stressful situation. And if it prolongs, if we don't take steps to heal from it, that stress keeps compounding and keeps affecting us. So in the longer term, not immediately, but in the longer term, you might even find other like diseases or afflictions coming up for you that might be linked, again, not 100% necessarily, but they might be linked to an unhealed betrayal. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so if there's anything physically that you're dealing with, always go check with your medical practitioner. But they often don't ask you under how much stress you are, or what your life story is. So that's on a physical level. On an emotional level, as you can imagine, there's sadness.
Yes.
There's anger. There's a lot of confusion. There's feelings of rejection, of, maybe an attack on your self-esteem, inability to trust someone in, the next person that you meet in relationship or in business. General could even be like just losing your lust for life, finding that nothing really...
Lack of ambition,
lack of energy. There can be a lot that can be part of a symptom of unhealed betrayal. Conflicting feelings of this person did something to me, but I still have feelings for this person. Shame is the big one.
Yeah.
Shame is a very big one. Of course, and I want to say this early on in this episode,
Yes.
if someone betrayed you,
Yes.
whatever the relationship was between you and that person, you're never to blame
Yes.
for the betrayal.
Yeah.
That was someone's decision, someone's choice.
Feeling stupid sometimes. They say, how did I not see this?
Did I not say, or I saw it, it was so obvious, but I ignored it. So all these feelings of, self-hatred sometimes, shame. On a mental level, we can have, we see people like, losing lack of concentration, focus. There's a lot of different symptoms. So if you're listening and if you're experiencing this after, maybe a recent or even a longer ago betrayal, it's you're not crazy. You're having actually a very normal response to what I would say is an abnormal situation.
Yes.
So your body is actually just responding normally. It's trying to protect you.
It's warning you that this is something to work on.
Yeah.
As us women, wanting to grow, wanting to try again, wanting to respond to our callings, our social and professional obligations.
Yeah.
How do I trust again my instinct that after I fail in business, after I fail at work, after I was betrayed by my colleague, by my workmate, by my clients, how do I build back the trust in me that I can do that again?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And I think it's very good that you also point out, how can I build the trust in me?
Yes.
Because before I can even build the trust in others, I have to rebuild that trust in myself. This is true for women, but it's also true for men.
Yes.
I've worked with men who have experienced betrayal in business, and they might feel the same. Like, I can't trust anybody. I don't even know, can I trust myself?
Is that the way it kills the desire to try again?
Exactly. So it really starts with trusting yourself.
Yes.
Because maybe, in this betrayal that happened, you saw the signs, your gut was telling you, and you kind of ignored it. So to start listening to your gut again, start listening to your body. Your body often knows before even you know. Like, is this situation making me feel uncomfortable? What could that be? Just listen. It doesn't necessarily always mean something, but start listening to your gut, listening to yourself. Trusting yourself also comes with, the things that you set yourself out to do, following up on them.
Yes.
Right? If I say I'm going to the gym today.
Yes.
And I don't go. And then tomorrow I say again, I'm going to the gym, but I don't go. And the next day I'm going to the gym and I don't go. Then it's hard for me to trust somebody else on their word when I cannot trust myself on my word. That doesn't mean you can never skip the gym. That doesn't mean you can never skip your diet. But, to what measure? To what measure can you also trust yourself when you set yourself out to do something? Trust yourself to also do it. That's also a big place to start.
That lead me to ask you this interesting question.
Yeah.
Because when you say trust your gut, trust your instinct now for this, don't negligent what the body or what the feeling from the gut is telling you about somebody or about something.
Yeah.
How do you know that your gut feelings is coming from a point of warning or it's coming from a point of insecurity? Because sometimes we hear so many times people telling you, follow your gut. How do you know that the gut is not reacting from an insecure place? And how do you know that the gut is coming from an empowered place?
So it also starts even before, I think, this with building trust in yourself, not just in your gut, but also becoming clear on what you want for your life, what you will tolerate, what you will not tolerate. So it's a whole process. It's a holistic process, right? And for trusting your gut, to be honest, like in the relationship I got betrayed in, my gut was telling me big time from the beginning, and I kept thinking it was my insecurity. So that's also possible, right?
So how do we know the difference?
We don't always know. We don't always know. If it was that simple, we could just pull out, I don't know, an app.
Yeah, that this is for security, this is for...
But we learn. We learn. And sometimes you go And you think, oh, maybe this is my insecurity. And then you step over your gut feeling and you go, and it's fine and it's okay. And other times you're like, oh, yeah, my gut was actually correct. So you also don't have to have it all 100% figured out as you go along. You also try, and in that process, you get to know yourself better. And you get to discover, there is no magic formula for that. So, but you get to discover when, oh, this is actually out of fear. This is more out of fear. And this just came.
In my experience, I learned how to differentiate when it is my gut speaking or when it is the insecurity.
Yeah. And it came with practice.
It came from practice, but also when my fear is based on a past experience. When I say, why am I finding it so hard to trust Ingrid, for example? And my internal response comes, I'm not capable of trusting Ingrid because she's doing something similar to what X did, and it went like this, it went like that. So I'm comparing you to previous patterns that I experienced in someone else. So that one, I know it is coming from a point of fear, that I'm fearing this particular experience to happen again. But when I know I'm not capable of trusting Ingrid because of fact 1, 2, 3, 4 she did, and I'm only analyzing her facts, I'm not trying to relate her fact to a past experience. Anytime I link your behavior to a past experience that I experienced, I'm comparing you to my past fears. But when I compare what you did, your facts, to something that I no longer tolerate, then I'm capable of deciding that this is my gut speaking. So that's to me how I have managed to differentiate the gut feelings and the insecurity feelings.
I like how you've put that. And again, our gut is not just some magic entity. It's also, it takes the memories, it takes the experiences, it builds from there. So if you do something or you act in a certain way that a person that hurt me in the past does, it's okay for me to be a little bit more alert. Say, I've learned from that past experience, and the last time, I maybe went a bit too far or I let it go on for too long, but now I'm setting my boundaries earlier. And here's the thing, even on a healing journey, there is no guarantee that from now on, we're only going to meet people that want the best for us in our life.
And that is the thing, that you are not really safe-proofed. Like, it is not going to happen again.
No, this is still life. We are still human beings. There's a lot of people in the world, including ourselves at some moment, who, act out of hurt or act out of wounds or act out of trauma. So it's not to say that we can never... we will never experience something like that again. People don't walk around with a placard on their head saying, I'm going to hurt you. No, we might find out. The thing with, a healing journey is that you probably, and next time you will see it earlier. You will see the signs earlier. You will act earlier. You will have set your boundaries. As you said, you now said, I don't no longer tolerate this. If this happens again, no, last time I let it go for months or for years or for decades. This time around, I choose what I know is right for me, and I don't let other things distort that.
Talking about boundaries, what are the boundaries someone who wants to rebuild back their love, their chances to go again and try something, whatever it is? Is it love? Is it business? Is it work? What are the protective boundaries that somebody can put in place in order to create a safe space for their subconscious to act again? It's
a good question. Thanks also for that one. It is different for everybody. There's no blueprint of do this, do that. For example, if you get into a new relationship, make sure you don't live together for the first year. There are no such rules. For someone might jump into and live together after 2 months. Someone else might decide, I'll never live with somebody again. So it's very personal. It's very personal because we are all different people. I think the important part here is just knowing yourself, reconnecting with yourself, knowing what you want for your life. That's not to say that nothing else can come on your path that you're open to, but knowing what you're open to, knowing what distraction you allow, knowing what you don't want for your life, knowing what makes you happy, knowing what you don't like, knowing maybe, your purpose or your spirituality or whatever that means to you. So knowing yourself is and your values and what you tolerate.
Yeah.
And from that place, it's very easy to put healthy boundaries, because I know what I want for my life, and so I don't want this. But that means, like Ingrid might say, I don't want this, and Coach Alice is like, oh, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
So that's very different for everybody. So it really starts with knowing yourself, staying close to yourself as you openly approach others. And saying, okay, this isn't right for me, but this is.
Looking at the healing journey of someone who's trying to heal from betrayal so that they can move on lighter and give themselves another chance to try over and over again. Can you picture for us how does a healed life looks like?
Yeah.
I believe you also want to know.
For sure. Yeah, because I also imagine a lot of people who might be listening to this particular episode, they're listening because, you want to learn something, and maybe because you feel a bit stuck. You're like, yeah, sure. Maybe the betrayal that happened has been a couple of months ago, or maybe already a couple of years ago. But I still feel like I've not fully moved through it. I'm all right, but I'm not actually great.
Yes.
And this is what in the journey of healing, we pass through various stages of healing. Yeah. And typically stage 3 is the stage where a lot of people get stuck, because it's not that heavy. The heaviness, the shock of the betrayal has passed. We've kind of found a new normal. And we're okay. We say we're okay. We say we're fine. But maybe we still have huge, big walls around us because I'm not going to get hurt again. Or maybe we don't trust the next person. Or
can you take us through the 3 stages, please?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So there are 5 stages. Yeah. And I think this also leads to an answer on your question on what does a healed life look like. Yeah. So the first stage is actually often described as the stage that even happens before even the betrayal comes out. It's that stage where you might have there's some part of self-betrayal. Like you're avoiding certain things, avoiding seeing certain signs.
The Lulu phase.
You were numbing. You're like, it was so clear. Now you can see it all, but you were numbing. You were maybe escaping. You were that this job wasn't really the right one for you, but you didn't want to see it. So you started just doing other things and ignoring that. Or maybe you, deep down inside, you knew this relationship. You guys weren't aligned. You had different values, but you escaped in motherhood or in your work. Or so it's this phase, not for everybody, but a lot of people I spoke to, they're like, I kind of knew. I kind of knew.
I knew it. I
knew,
felt
but I wanted to believe too much that it was true.
Yeah.
Or this job on paper was good, or this business partner. It was the consequences of really acting upon what my gut knew or what my heart knew were too big, so I kind of ignored it. I ignored my true calling.
Yes.
So it's this stage where there's self-betrayal. Yeah. You don't you live an authentic life maybe, but there is part of you that doesn't. Then the betrayal happens. Now the betrayal, of course, is, anybody who's listening who's experienced it is super painful.
Like the crystal clarity that it is happening.
It is like this whole rug is just pulled underneath us. It's, you're falling, it's shock, it's so confusing. It's so painful. That's stage 2. Now, stage 2, of course, it's very, very, very chaotic. But stage 3 is where...
Like you are feeling the magma of the concept, that the way you see it now, you have the moment to feel it and experience it.
Yeah, even in stage 2, you really, really feel it. Yeah. Stage 3, you've normalized things a little bit. Maybe... you got back together, or maybe you divorced, or maybe, some things have changed, but you yourself are still sitting. You don't cry yourself to sleep every night anymore, but you're stuck. You're still kind of stuck. But a reason why a lot of people get stuck here is because it's also comfortable.
That's stage 3.
Because let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It's, let's say, things because of the betrayal, your finances, maybe you were sharing finances with this person and something happened. And so now your finances aren't doing so well. You can blame it on this person, can't you? If it wasn't for the betrayal, I would be, etc.
I would be doing well.
Yeah.
Or if it wasn't for the divorce, I will have been.
Yeah. Or if it wasn't for the divorce, I wouldn't have eaten so much and I would be healthier. Or if it wasn't for this, I would. So you
made me fat.
Or you made me poor, you made me fat. Anything, right? I can blame this other person. I'm not saying that this person is not to blame for the situation that maybe you find yourself in.
You are comfortable with always exporting the pain to them.
And you have someone that you can direct your anger to.
Oh, I see that.
And you have a story, so people have sympathy for you. And I'm not saying any of that is bad. None of that is bad. It's a necessarily part of your healing journey. Because of that, it is one of the stages. So it's okay. It's okay if you go through that. It's okay if you go through this whole ruminating stage of trying to figure out why and how. And it's a normal state and it takes time, but we don't want to get stuck there.
But people find comfortable there.
People get stuck there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I understand now.
If it wasn't for this, my business, I would have this. So a bit of comfort in the victimhood. Right? It's not really comfortable, but it's what we know. So stage 4 kind of starts when you now start taking responsibility again for your life. When that story of betrayal that maybe played a big part of your identity for months or for years even, depending on how long ago it was, when you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to rewrite that story. This is not just going to be the story of my life. This is going to be just a chapter, maybe a few pages, or maybe even if it was very big, 3 chapters of my life, it's okay, but it's not going to be the whole book, right? And I'm going to start taking responsibility again. If
that stage 4, can we say it's the time where we find people looking for help? Or seeking for help?
Often, looking for support can help you on this journey, right? Not everybody will go and ask for support, but I think
support, I'm talking about looking for a professional help, reading books, looking for resources to give you information of coming out.
Coming out of
the desire to get out of that feeling.
And sometimes all is required is just someone to just support you in that little push, right? And so stage 4 really is where you start taking responsibility again. You say, okay, yes, my finances wouldn't be here without the divorce, but they're here. This is where and I'm the only one that can, improve
pull myself out.
I cannot call upon this other person that, hurt me to fix me.
Yes.
Or to fix my life. So I take responsibility. It might still be bumpy. It might still be up and down. There might still be moments of sadness. There might still be moments where you wish your life was different. You might not be fully okay with where your life is at the moment, but you're taking steps, even small steps every day. And sometimes you're going to feel back down again, but you keep showing up for yourself.
Okay.
That's stage 4. So that's where the beauty starts.
Yes.
And then so when you say where, what does a healed, are we ever 100% healed? I don't know.
In my personal experience, you as the expert will tell us, healing sometimes can also wound another sensitive area that not worked on 100%. Yet. In my healing journey, that's what happened. When I started working on my childhood wounds, my traumas and all that, it brought other wounds somewhere else, something I haven't dealt with probably in my relationship. And then how do I deal with anger? How do I deal with failure? How do I deal with fear? So all that always brought in something that I haven't worked on. So I felt like it was a continuous journey. I don't see, even up to date, any day I can declare myself fully healed, because every day is a challenging moment that will require its specific tools.
Because we're human beings.
Yeah, that's what I feel. And you as an expert probably tell us.
Yes, we are also human beings.
Yeah.
We have our moments.
Yeah.
We have our ups and downs. We have our triggers.
Yes.
You know, if you've ever, broken a bone in your body, that might always be a little sensitive spot. So, maybe when you go for a long run, you're like, ooh, it played up a little bit again.
Is it safe to say that we all work with the sensitive spots?
We do.
That can be triggered anytime?
But it's good to know which ones they are. It's good to recognize them. It's good to then also be kind and compassionate to yourself. Maybe, if you're in a relationship, your partner knows about this and you know about your partners, so that you can also support each other. But yeah, definitely a big part of the healing journey is not just overcoming that betrayal. It's overcoming a lot of things that maybe you now see how you acted in that relationship that you want to do different. Maybe you don't want to be so attached, or you don't want to, you no longer are going to settle for breadcrumbs, or you no longer, or other things that you feel in your journey. Again, what you mentioned, stuff might come up that is way older, that goes way beyond this 5-year relationship or this 10-year relationship that is from childhood, that you now get an opportunity. Betrayal, it shakes you. It's very painful, but it also gives you an opportunity. You would have just continued like that. And now
I really want us to talk more about that, because as we said, when we are on the journey, stage 4, to unpacking anything that might have stayed somewhere that is hindering you to move on. It is until you become truthful and authentic to yourself that you will be able to experience healing. When you are working on your relationship betrayal, you will find out that probably there are also unhealed things from childhood that will resurface. So to that betrayal, even if it is a painful thing, it will encourage you to work on the other things that you have just put under the rug.
100%. I've worked with a lot of people who, because of the betrayal, like it's something that maybe they knew about themselves, but they were in a relationship, things were going okay, but then the betrayal shakes up your whole world. And now it kind of forces you, if you want, you can keep ignoring it. You can keep putting it back under the rug until the next betrayal happens, right? Because remember, repeat betrayals are often signs of an unhealed betrayal. So you can put it under the rug, or you can say, you know what, maybe now is the time for me. Now this is an opportunity. And it could be different things. For some people, it's like, my people-pleasing tendencies. For someone else, they say, actually, you know what, my whole lifetime I've been insecure. I've always felt unworthy. It's time to address this, because I don't want to continue. This betrayal shook me. Probably even my self-esteem is even more down than it already was. But I'm going to now start working on it.
And this is now the purpose of this, because we are rebuilding back the power. How do you rebuild back the power? Is acknowledging that these have failed here, but I have the capacity to rebuild back. Until you go down there to start through the foundation and build until you are steady enough to go back, then you will end up going back over and over again. Here comes that question that I see many women to come and tell me, Coach Alice, I don't know what is in me. I always attract emotionally unavailable partners. I don't know. I am the one who date bad boys all the time. I found myself, yes, I have dated different nationalities. I have gone into relationship with different people, but there is always one particular trait that is common in all of them. They are emotionally detached. They can drag me, they have bumped me, they do that. And when such a women come to me, I tell them that there's nothing in you that attracts such.
I agree.
Check your behavior, check your patterns. I would like you as an expert to expound more on that. Is there something like that I attract emotionally unavailable people?
I agree with you. There might be different visions. People might have different ideas around here, but I agree with you that you don't attract them. It's not like, you're honey and all these flies are coming. wounded people are out there.
Yes.
Right. We all have our wounds, and we do the best we can. Emotionally unavailable people, they're out there.
Yeah.
As much as emotionally available people are also out there.
Yes.
You're not necessarily attracting them, but you're probably tolerating them longer
Yes.
than other people do, or longer than what is good for you. So maybe the next time you find, you're with someone that's emotionally unavailable and you don't want to go there again,
there should be a boundary.
Yeah, put it as a boundary very clear. Like, okay, this can still be my friend. I know this is what but we're not going into a relationship. Whereas the question is not so much why do they come into my life? The question is, why do you give them such a big space in your life? Or why do you tolerate them for this long in your life as your partner, for example? That's not to say that you can't have emotionally unavailable friends.
I don't know. Probably there is a psychological definition around it that you can help me around with that. It's because most often people who emotionally wounded seek so much validation. And when we seek that particular validation from empty person, they will manipulate us. They will love bomb you. They will give you what you want to hear in order to cage you. Once they have caged you, you will end up being their forever caregiver. How do you identify that kind of behavior?
Yeah. So if you've noticed in yourself, like if you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, I was that person that told Coach Alice I always attract these people. Or if you recognize yourself in that, it's really to look inside of yourself and say, what is it in me? Not that attracts these people, but why am I attracted to these people? Why do I want to stay with them? What do they give me that I am not giving myself? Or is it a protection mechanism? Because for example, I'm actually a bit afraid to open myself up because I'm afraid to be hurt again.
Yes.
I seek out someone. Not intentionally. I mean, you don't wake up in the morning saying, I'm going to do this, but subconsciously, because of your wounding, you seek someone out who just gives just enough, but not enough.
Yeah, like dingling a carrot.
Yeah, and so it kind of feels safe, or you feel confirmed, or maybe it's because what you grew up with, so it's what you know from childhood. So there could be very many reasons as to why this person feels comfortable for you. Or maybe you grew up with an idea of you have to fight for love. Really, I've seen that in people as well, where I have to fight, I have to really show, I can't give up on this until I've shown that I've done everything in my capabilities to change our relationship, to make it work. And you put because somehow that's a conditioning that you have.
Yeah.
It's always good when you notice these things to ask yourself, is that helpful? Because as a coach, I will never say it's right or wrong. It works for some, or maybe it worked up till now. Is it helpful? Is that a helpful behavior?
At what cost? You always tax it.
And is it helpful?
How much does it cost? Yes. And how long sustainable can this be? How sustainable can this
most often than not, you're like, actually, it's not helpful.
It's not,
It might have helped me in the past. It might have helped me survive certain situations or deal with certain situations. But where I want to go, this is not the right thing. So the next time this happens in my life, I'll be able to set a boundary earlier. I'll choose myself. And this is why, this whole healing process, it has so many aspects about getting to know yourself, reconnecting with yourself, trusting yourself, then daring to set the boundaries, being okay with not everybody liking you when you set your boundaries, but being close enough to you, say, no, this is what I want for my life, and this is what I tolerate, and this is what I no longer tolerate. But it's often looking into, what am I getting out of this? Because it's not just that people like that come into your life to use you. You got something out of it as well. Maybe it was your helper syndrome. Maybe it was your fixer syndrome. Maybe it was your people pleasing. Maybe it was something.
The caretaker behavior.
The caretaker in you, and it could be something else. It's not always people pleasing, by the way. Not always. So
the desire to stay in control. Now, as we build, as we share tips or mechanism or process of healing, may we also allow our listeners to get to know exactly what you do to help people Number one, process those stages that you have mentioned.
Yeah.
Are they programs that you offer that helps people to enter into the process and learn? Is there any accountability that you offer so that we go into the practical side of what it looks like to go in a healing journey?
Yeah. Thanks so much for that question. Yeah, I think it's always very honored when someone reaches out and asks for support. I think it's super courageous to ask for support.
Yes.
Because, you know,
it's intimate stuff. Yeah.
And you know, as much as healing sounds beautiful and it sounds like these flowers and butterflies and like it's not always a pretty journey.
It's ugly.
You know?
Yeah, it is.
It's the same as if you want to get fit and healthy. The gym is not always fun.
No.
It's not always fun. So also these healing journeys, they can be difficult.
Yes.
And they're not always fun. And at the same time, we also have space to laugh. It's a serious matter, but we can also, you know, have a good time as we're going through this journey. But it's so helpful to have someone accompanying you on the journey. And I think especially someone who has walked the journey.
Yes.
Someone that knows about betrayal trauma. You know, that's why I went back and said, I want to study this. I want to study trauma. I want to study betrayal trauma specifically. Someone that understands certain things, like the complexities of, I know this person hurt me and I still love this person. What do I do with all these conflicting feelings that I have? Like, it's okay. You're not crazy. I understand you. So I think a lot of what I offer in my support that I offer to people is that understanding, seeing you, understanding you, also pointing out certain things. And I'm like, okay, but you know, you say you want this, but then you keep doing that. So I'll also be your accountability partner in that. And I support you in what you need. Every journey is different because everybody's situation is different.
Yes.
Somebody wants to rebuild with their partner.
Yes.
Somebody else has been, you know, maybe the partner walked off or maybe you decided to walk off. So there's different situations. But I support you on that journey of seeing, okay, what kind of self-betrayal was there?
Yeah.
What were you avoiding and numbing?
Yeah.
How can you reconnect with your authentic self?
Yes.
Understanding that betrayal trauma sits in your body. How can you release? How can you heal your body also? Not just your mind and your heart, but how can you allow your body to heal and to
release,
process and to integrate? Supporting you in the acceptance journey, because a lot of us, we get stuck for a long time.
Oh, that one.
If only, if this hadn't happened, then I would. It's like, but it happened.
Like stage 3 is the sticky one.
Oh, that's the sticky one, and because it's also comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the more I keep asking myself the what if and if only questions, I don't have to commit.
It looks like almost like a dreamland that you want to keep thinking of what you could have achieved if that never happened.
And of course, we don't do this intentionally. Again, we don't wake up in the morning saying, I really want to be stuck in my betrayal. No, nobody wants that, but we might not know how to. A big part of the journey is just to reminding people to keep focusing on yourself. So we might have a session with you and there's a lot that happened, and maybe this person that betrayed you, you're still in contact with them because you have kids together or something like that. But now, half the session, you've been talking about this person.
Not you.
And I'm like, we need to go back to you.
Yeah.
And that also reminds you to go back to you. So I have a lot of tools and techniques, and every session, you know, the ones I use with one person might be different because I really go with what I feel like is what you need on your journey. Reconnecting with yourself, healing. There's time for that past. There's time also to look into even the past before this betrayal, looking into that, but also a big chunk of our sessions is going to be about
the
where
future.
do you want to go?
Yeah, you want to go.
Where do you want to go? And what does that look like? Because I know betrayal is painful, but the way it shakes you up and the opportunity you get, wow, you know, there's going to be things that are going to be possible for you that you're like, I would have never done this if that thing had not happened. And if your betrayal was very recent, I know what I'm saying right now. You're like, Ingrid, I don't even believe you. That's okay. But maybe if your betrayal has been a little bit longer ago, you're like, yeah.
The anger, because you're still into self-hate. how did I not see this? You think you're still the one to blame.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning even in our previous episode that you are no one to blame because you didn't know what you know now.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't know what was happening behind your back.
Yeah.
So always thinking that you had the chance to fix or to prevent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is unnecessary blaming.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned that the last time.
I think we also should be very careful with blaming, you know, as a society.
Yes.
Because it happens both ways. You know, if a woman is betrayed, it's like, oh, she must have this. We have narratives, right?
Yeah.
Like, that must have happened for the guy to go out and for. Again, whatever your marriage was, whatever your relationship was, this person had other options.
Yes.
But we do it also to men when women are the ones that betray.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, the man must have not done this, or he must have, or what man are you, or da-da-da-da-da. So, no, even if the woman decides to betray her husband, that's her decision. What, again, she had other choices.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. In business, in family, there were always other options, and you chose the option that you knew would hurt this other person.
When it comes to, let's talk about the romantic betrayal.
Yeah.
When you are experiencing a romantic betrayal with your partner, there is this desire of wanting to revenge.
Yeah.
What if I also hurt them the same way they hurt me?
Yeah.
And ladies that I speak to, they have this as the first instinct that he cheated on me, he lied to me, he probably messed up our finances. What if I go also do the same? What if I start validating everyone else who has been hitting on me?
Yeah.
What would you tell such a women who are listening to us?
So again, as a coach, I'll never tell you what you should and should not do. The same as I wouldn't tell you to, you've got a divorce or you should rebuild. That's not up to me because I'm not you. I don't know, your life story, your values, your fears, etc. So I understand. I understand when you're like, now it's also my time. And so I won't tell you not to do it, but is it really what you want? And is it really true to your authentic self? Is it or is it not? If you're doing this, are you even hurting this person? You're probably not even hurting this person at all because
they might not even know.
Might not even know. They've moved on. But the question is, what do you want for your relationship? Do you want to rebuild with this person? And if you want to rebuild, you both have to walk the healing journey. Do you want to rebuild
with yourself?
And also them with themselves. Because if they don't change, then also nothing is going to change for you. Or are you like, no, but this is not the kind of relationship I want. So, I'm out. That's not for me to decide. That's also, I can't give you a blanket advice here, but that's what we will work on. What works for you in this situation, in where you're at your life. What we have seen, and this is not just me, but this is also the Post-Betrayal Transformation Institute that I did my certification with, who work with so many thousands of people. If you want to rebuild, if something happened in your relationship and you decide to stay together, if this other person does not work on themselves, if they're not walking their own healing journey, you might find you're going to be stuck for a long time. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Of course.
So unless you're like, you know what, we're still living in the same house because of, could be all kinds of reasons. And I'm not the one to say those are wrong reasons. Like that's what works for you.
The personal choice.
But maybe because of the kids, maybe because of the finances, and you decide to stay together, but nothing changes, then also don't expect anything more to change.
So you are stuck in stage 3 forever.
Is that really the life you want? Is that is that the life you want for yourself, or is there something else out there for you? The answer is with you. The answer is not with me. I know what I would want and what I wouldn't want. But it's different for everybody, and also our different cultures and our different families that we maybe come from. But if you want to rebuild, and if you're both serious about rebuilding, this other person also needs to check and say, how was it possible for me to do this? How was it possible for me? I say I love you, yet I lie to you. I hide from you. I even put your physical
life at risk.
Because what kind of infections could I have picked up? I disrespected you, I gaslit you, or every time you were like, hey, this is a bit strange. Like, how was that possible for me to do all of this? What am I searching? What validation, what addiction, what trauma? And that journey is not an easy one. Like healing from betrayal is not easy, but if you're the betrayer, that healing journey is also probably,
I don't think even whoever is in this scenario, it's not an easy job. Also question yourself, why do I have the need to hurt women, to hurt partners? Let me not say women only, because also us women, we do the same to guys. Why do I have to hurt somebody that I claim to love over and over again?
Why can I not be honest and say, this is what I want for my life? Because maybe, I'm not the one to say you can't have multiple partners. By all means, whatever rocks your boat. But the moment that you pretend that it's different, why can I not just be authentic and say, this is how I experience my pleasure, my sexual, But then be open, give the other person a choice so that they can also make their decisions
and
work it out
choose to stay with you or to go. I see that. So a woman who is on her journey to rebuild either romantic betrayal or business betrayal, religious betrayal, because also they happen so much, friendship betrayals. Is there a small message you have for them?
Yeah, I think I have two.
Yes, go ahead.
There's one that I mentioned in the last episode. Yeah, it's such a beautiful quote. It's not my quote. I want to repeat it again. There's no guarantee that you will never be betrayed again in whichever area of your life.
Yes,
and I want to compare this with the bird.
Oh, I love that.
I love that quote. That's why I keep repeating it, because I know someone is listening and is going like, "Oh wow, Ingrid, thank you." A bird that flies, but that rests on a branch of a tree. They rest on the branch of the tree, not because the bird knows that the branch will never ever break. The branch might break, might be unlikely, but the branch of the tree might break. But the bird trusts its wings. It trusts its ability to fly. Again. So I want you to trust yourself. I want you to trust your ability to fly. Even if you take a little nosedive, if something breaks, if someone betrays you again. And I've actually had a client who this happened to. Like, something again happened, but he didn't fall near as much as he had fallen the second time. He picked himself up again. He had already other measures in place. So trusting yourself to see the signs earlier, trusting yourself that you can get out of this again, trusting yourself that you won't be stuck, that you can rebuild. So all of that, right? And then the branch might not even break. But at least trusting yourself that if it does, you'll be okay. You might be, of course you're going to be sad, of course you're going to be angry, but not in the same extent. So that's one message that I hope is, even if it's just one person that is listening and is like, I need to hear this. The other thing, and this is especially true, I've seen with women in relationships where they stay together. From the stories they tell me, betrayer, the husband or the partner, from their stories, from what I'm, hear from them, is not even doing so much. They've said sorry a couple of times. They really regret. They've done a few things, but there's not so much extra happening. So they're okay. They're comfortable. They're continuing life as usual. I can't tell, because I don't know them, if they're, being loyal or not. But what I see in the women is a big need to fully understand and analyze this other person's behavior. So you dive into, you learn everything about addiction, you learn everything about narcissism. You read all the books on avoidant attachment. You read all, like, you have
you're the
analyzed,
researcher now.
Become the psychologist, the therapist, everything. You understand this person has childhood trauma, and that's why they do the things they do. And so there's so much focus on this other person, or wanting to understand, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Well, don't have to stop them, but I talk to these women. I'm like, there's so much attention, so much of your energy that goes on to explaining this other person, more than they even try to do it themselves. That's energy that you could use to rebuild yourself. That's
I
energy that
love
you
that.
can use to rebuild your life. That energy, you only have that energy once. Where are you spending that energy?
Yeah.
I'm not, again, it's not up to me to tell you to stay together or not, but I can help you
Refocus on what matter for you.
and also come to that answer.
Yes.
Come to that answer, like what is the right thing for me, but focus. But you might never understand why they do the things they do. And especially, this also is true for people who are maybe divorced, but now co-parenting with a partner who is either way highly manipulative, or maybe even on a narcissistic spectrum. I don't know. Trying to understand, wanting them to be logic, wanting them, like, you know what, you have to start accepting that you'll never fully understand what happened, that you might never fully know. And then from that point, like, focus back on you. Focus back on you. And focus back on what you want for your life. And do you really want this type of relationship? And the answer might be scary. And so I don't tell you to decide today or tomorrow. You can. This is another thing when you talk about rebuilding a relationship. You don't have to decide today that you're going to rebuild or not.
Rebuild yourself.
Rebuild yourself. And you don't have to decide today that you're staying or leaving. You can give yourself time, give yourself grace. Yeah, it's very important.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. And I believe everyone who has been listening to us also picked a thing or two. If there is an area that you feel like you really want to polish and release your shoulders from an unnecessary luggage, from betrayals and all that, so you can navigate life with ease and intentionality, because that is all the purpose of this podcast. You might be wondering, where can I find Ingrid for help? Ingrid, where can people find
Where can people find me?
Yeah.
I think you'll probably put the links also underneath the episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, on my website. My website is www.openheartcoaching.com. Now, I chose a name that's not so easy. So it's Open Heart with a H behind the heart. So Open Heart Coaching. If you type it on Instagram, you usually see the little picture popping up. You can, of course, reach out on phone. If you want to pick up the phone, you're like, Ingrid, I want to work with you. It's time that this betrayal is not just causing me chaos, but I want to take this opportunity that the betrayal has granted me. So usually WhatsApp is a little easier because when I'm in session, my phone is on silent. So WhatsApp is usually a little easier.
Okay.
And I'd love to work with you if you're ready to commit. You're never going to be 100% ready. Don't worry about that. We'll get you there. But if you can leave stage 3, oh my God, when you think stage 3 is comfortable, once you get out of stage 3 and you look back, you're like, oh, what did I do there for this long?
You will discuss it the same way we are having it as a conversation.
Yeah, you will. It will be in your past. It shakes your world, but it doesn't define who you are.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Rebuilding is a permission that you give yourself.
I love that.
It's the freedom to explore more. And there is no one else who will give that freedom to you. You're not going to be served on a silver platter. It's something that you claim as a right. Thank you so much for listening to us. My name is Coach Alice Muhirwa. I'm your host. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode.